Greetings once again. I believe that God will send new people here in the upcoming days, and also in the upcoming year 2024 we have planned to reach out other people, new believers, new friends to join in this English service. So I request you all to put your hands together in building up the house of God, in building up the ministry, the kingdom of God, to involve in the process of expansion of the kingdom of God. So I believe that personally, that God would do miracle in this English service. Though it's a little start, but the upcoming days we will see God's mightiness and power in this service. So to begin the message, today's message, once in a jungle there lived a lion cub, small lion. So daily this little cub went out to catch its prey. And each and every day, this little cub returned back empty. So it did not catch any prey. So it went out but returned back empty. So the reason why it returned empty all the time is because one of the reasons is the other animals, the deers, the other rabbit or anything. So what these other animals does is, after looking at this little cub, they just ran away. So this little cub is very small in size, not too large, not too medium, very, very little cub, little kid. But looking at this little cub, every other animal just runs back. So this cub, little cub, the lion cub, did not have any idea what was happening in its life, and also the little cub did not have any understanding, so any idea that or any clue why every animal is running away after looking at this. This was the question running on, kept on running in that little cub's mind. So it thought to itself, inside of it's a mind voice to itself. It was raising up questions, telling that why I couldn't catch any prey. What is the reason behind this? So by all these questions, day by day, it kept on asking from within, and day after day, and month after month, time after time. What happened is that fear gripped this little cub more and more. So more fear increased, because as soon as it goes out to catch its prey, every other prey is running from its sight. So it's just clueless, and it had a fear within itself. So due to this fear, the little cub went to catch its prey with fear all the time. Not just one time, but after that incident, whatever time it went to catch its prey, it had an inner fear within itself. So it completely lost its nature. So have you been to zoo, Wonderloo Zoo? So you would have seen lion, how it roars and how it looks like, right? It looks just wonders as how God's creation is. So no other animal has a kind of the structure of or the appearance of lion, right? Each and every animal is, of course, unique in God's creation. And we look lion, we see the male lion has the hairs and the beard and the fully covered with hair. So what are its nature? A lion, when we take a lion and we understand or read about its nature, it must be bold, right? A lion must be bold. So that's why many elders, they tell, be like a lion. What it means is that be bold. And it has a physique, right? It has a physique. So its muscles are very strong. its appearance are very sharp and its eyes are very sharp. So its nature is to be at one place and it just roars louder, so that the most part of the jungle will hear its voice very loudly. So from this little story, we can see that the cub's state of mind. What was it? What's the stage? It was fearful. So it was fearful all the time while it went out to catch its prey. So all the time this little cub went out, everything went well, but the cub missed something great in his life. So everything was fine, okay, well, but this cub lacked something. So everything went fine, but the reason behind the other animals running away after looking at this little cub was different. So the little cub had all strength to fight. It naturally has its character, its nature differently. It's a bold and rugged character. So the nature of lion, as we see, it's very strong and bold and sharp. But this little cub did not recognize one thing. So while it went out, it did not recognize or realize one thing. So we will look at what that one thing is, and we will come back a little later to this. So when we take today in a Christian life, the Christian life is a very beautiful life. How many of you accept it? It's a very beautiful life. Whether you accept it or not, that's the fact. Christian life is a beautiful life. So not an ordinary life, but a beautiful life. God has given a very interesting and a beautiful life for all of us. So God has given us everything we want. So as we read in Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I should not lack anything. So we lack nothing in our lives. God has given us all the blessings that we ask Him or that we require, and nothing unbeautiful or unpleasant happens in our life. So everything is perfectly aligned by God. So God had made everything good, perfect and beautiful. So God has made everything good, perfect and beautiful in our lives. So He had always given us all the authority. He's always given us all the power. He has always given us all the guidance to overcome everything in our lives that are coming ahead of us, that are before us. So all the challenges and barriers and obstacles, God has given us to the power of overcoming all of them. So we would have faced a lot of problems in our lives, right? So is there anyone who never had experienced any troubles or problems, challenges? Is there any people? Everyone has, either in this time or the previous time, we would have faced many challenges and troubles according to our age and situation. So we also get a lot of challenges from our friends, from our relatives, from other people who are around us. So, but in this beautiful Christian life, there is something we miss out. God has given us everything. God has given us a good nature to overcome the evil and the other people who are against us. But we miss out something in our lives. So we go out to face a battle, the challenges. So as soon as we hear the word of God, what most of the people does is they just go out to face the enemy, the challenges with the boldness and guts inside of them, but return back empty. Without winning anything, without winning any war, they just return. So the intention of going to face the battle was different, but after some times, looking at all the other things and challenges, they return back empty without winning anything. So most of the times, this is the situation of the Christian people who seek God, who regularly go to church. So this is the condition. So 90 to 95% of the people who follow Christ are in this condition. As soon as they hear the word of God, it just gets, their hearts get boosted up, and they go to face the challenge. As soon as they face the challenge, something inside of them, fear or something, grips them, and just they don't feel to fight and overcome. But instead of fighting that, they return back empty. So we must have thought to ourselves, so why did I return empty? So most of the times, you would have faced failures in your lives. And you would have thought to yourself, your mind voice within yourself would be, why did I return empty? Why did I not fight hard or overcome the challenges or the struggles? So what happened to me? And all the questions that will be running inside of our heart. We also miss out one important thing in our Christian life. As like the little cub, as I told you before, right? The little cub went out with boldness but returned back empty. In many Christians' life, this is the condition, like the little cub. They go out and come empty. So, and when I just meditated this, I thought that there is also one important reason that most of the Christians fail to recognize in their life. So one thing is also lacking in our Christian life. We will look at a little later. So in the Bible we see a group of people who are God's people in this similar condition, similar way. So after reading an explanation of this verse, we will connect everything that we looked before, just before now, and we will understand what God has intended for us this morning. Let us turn our Bibles to 2 Chronicles chapter 32. 2 Chronicles chapter 32 verse 1 to 8. I will read that for you. 2 Chronicles chapter 32 verse 1 to 8. After all that Hezekiah had so faithfully done, Sennacherib king of Assyria came and invaded Judah. He laid siege to the fortified cities, thinking to conquer them for himself. When Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib had come and that he intended to wage war against Jerusalem, he consulted with his officials and military staff about blocking off the water from the springs outside the city, and they helped him. They gathered a large group of people who blocked all the springs and the stream that flowed through the land. Why should the kings of Assyria come and find plenty of water? They said. Then he worked hard repairing all the broken sections of the wall and building towers on it. He built another wall outside that one and reinforced the terrace of the city of David. He also made large numbers of weapons and shields. He appointed military officers over the people and assembled them before him in the square at the city gate and encouraged them with these words: Be strong and courageous, do not be afraid or discouraged because of the king of Assyria and the vast army with him, for there is great power with us than with him. With him is only the arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord a God to help us and to fight our battles. And the people gained confidence from what Hezekiah the king of Judah said. So this is the part, this is the reading part, and from this we will meditate today, and we will look what God has kept for us this morning. So we see the king of Assyria, he came to the land of Judah and tried to conquer it. And the king of Judah, Hezekiah the king, he planned several things with his people and officials, and he strengthened, he encouraged his people. So this is today's message. And verse 1, when you keep reading that, it says, after all that Hezekiah had so faithfully done, Sennacherib king of Assyria came and invaded Judah. He laid siege to the forfeited cities, thinking to conquer them for himself. So what happened before this? So what faithful thing that Hezekiah done was that to look at chapter 30 and 31. That will give us a good broad picture, big picture. So Hezekiah, in chapter 30, it says, Hezekiah celebrated the Passover festival. And also in 31st chapter, it says about King Hezekiah contribution for worship of God. He contributed for God many things. And he also organizes the priest in this chapter. So after contributing for worship and organizing the priest for God, for the house of God, after all these things that King Hezekiah did to God, now something bad happened here. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came to the land of Judah and invaded it. This Sennacherib planned to capture the king of Judah and his own people. So not just plan, but also we find a word, he captured it. So when we look at the background of the king of Assyria and the kings of Assyria who ruled before, so the kings of Assyria were very cruel, they were very horrible kings in that time, in those times. So Assyria was a big kingdom and it had everything. It had huge powers, huge army, huge weapons and everything within itself. So this Assyria and its kingdom, it gave horrible punishments to the criminals. And also we see cruelty and worst punishments were given to the nations whom they capture. They would, I just read one book which tells about the kings of Assyria and their punishments. So what they do is, after they capture a king, a country, they will immediately bring the king of that nation to them and they will peel off all the skin. They will peel all the skin and they will hang the king on the entrance of the gate. So when the other people who pass by sees this horrible thing, they will also get fear automatically. So that was the condition and that was the thing and that was the static of this Assyria kingdom. So Sennacherib was a king in Assyria while Hezekiah ruled Judah. While Hezekiah the king of Judah ruled God's people, Sennacherib ruled the nation, the kingdom called Assyria. So what happened after that? The king of Assyria laid siege to the fortified cities. He captured the cities first because he thought that he will conquer the people for himself. Two things the king of Assyria did here: capturing the cities first in order to capture the people and the king. So verse 2 it says, the second verse it says, when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib had come and that he intended to wage war against Jerusalem, the news about the king of Assyria invading Judah was taken to the ears of the king of Judah, Hezekiah. To the king it was taken to. When Hezekiah the king of Judah saw that this cruel king had come and that he intended to wage war against Jerusalem, he did something. So if Sennacherib king of Assyria could capture Jerusalem, he can easily put the whole Judah under his control, because the house of God was in Jerusalem. All the worship and the mainstream of God's people and worshipping, the service, everything was based on Jerusalem. So if a king attacks the core city, the core thing of a nation, he can easily capture all the rest of the other people and the king. verse 3 it says, he consulted with his officials and military staff about blocking off the water from the springs outside the city, and they helped him. So after hearing this, Hezekiah, the king of Judah, he called the officials and his military staff and every people. After calling them, he consulted with them and spoke several things with them, discussed several things with them. So the officials and the military staff, what they did is, they blocked off the water from the spring outside the city. So wherever they found the springs of water, these officials and the people, they went out and blocked all the springs which came from the earth. So the people also helped the officials and military forces in fixing the issue. As soon as King Hezekiah ordered to block all the springs of water, he called his military people and he called his officials, and the people of Judah and Jerusalem also helped these officials to do that. Then coming to verse 4, we see, they gathered a large group of people who blocked all the springs and the stream that flowed through the land. Why should the kings of Assyria come and find plenty of water? They said. We see here, then they gathered a large group of people and its inhabitants at one place. So these people helped to block the springs and the streams all around. So wherever they find streams coming up from the earth, what they did is they blocked. So now the seriousness of that and the fear gripped all the people of Judah and Jerusalem. So that is why they also put their hands in helping the king Hezekiah. So with one mind and with one helping mind and one accord, they all came forward to help, because their lives were in danger. So once the king of Assyria captures them, they very well know that what they had done to the other nations and to its inhabitations. So these people really know what these kings of Assyria would do to them. So they feared, they had something great, terrible in their hearts, and they all came forward and helped the king of Judah. So they also raised the question here, why should the kings of Assyria come and find plenty of water? So we see why he must come in and enjoy all the benefits that are in Judah and Jerusalem. That was the question running through the mind of the people of Judah and Jerusalem. So the verse 5 it says, then he worked hard repairing all the broken sections of the wall and building towers on it. He built another wall outside that one and reinforced the terrace of the city of David. He also made large numbers of weapons and shields. So after stopping all the waters, the springs and the streams, next what King Hezekiah did was, and the officials and the people worked hard, very hard, in repairing all the broken sections of the wall. So before this, the walls would have been broken due to wars and battles and other things, or due to lack of protection and taking care of the strongness of the wall. So due to many reasons, the wall was in repair and it was broken, most of the parts. So after repairing the walls, he and the people built towers on it. So towers, which means watchtowers. Watchtowers, when it's a tower, it's a tall tower where the people or the army, the military, they could go up and watch the outside things, what are happening there, and as well as the inside things also. And these watchtowers were helpful in finding out the coming of the enemy. So from the distance, these people who are standing at the top of the towers, they can recognize who is coming towards them, towards their country, towards inside of their village or city. So they did not stop till here. The people, the king of Judah, the military force, so the Judah and Jerusalem did not stop till here, but did another one important thing here. So the king Hezekiah and the people, they built another wall outside the first wall. So it's a second layer of wall. So already the wall is being repaired, but due to the fear of the Assyrian kings that they would come in breaking all the walls, they built another layer of wall, the second layer of walls around the first one, and also strengthened the terrace of the city of David. They also strengthened the terrace of the city of David. So not just this, the king of Judah, Hezekiah, made large numbers of weapons and shields. Sword, shields, arrow, bow, and chest plate, knee plate, helmet. All the weapons and shields were made there. So these many things the king of Judah, Hezekiah, did with the help of the people of Judah and Jerusalem. So Hezekiah did 6 important things here. So number 1 was stopping the springs and the waters, the streams. Springs and the streams were stopped. Number 2, repairing the walls. Number 3, he built towers, watchtowers. Number 4, second layer of wall, second wall. Number 5, strong terrace, strengthened the terrace. And number 6, he made weapons and shields. 6 things the king of Judah, made to his people. Verse 6 it says, he appointed military officers over the people and assembled them before him in the square at the city gate and encouraged them with these words. So after doing this best and after doing his fullest effort, putting his fullest effort, doing his best with his people, Hezekiah appointed the military officers and the people and asked them to assemble before him. After gathering them, he encouraged them with beautiful words. So he cheered them, he motivated all of them. And in verse 7, it's interesting, we see, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid or discouraged because of the king of Assyria and the vast army with him, for there is great power with us than with him. So what Hezekiah said here is, be strong and courageous. This statement is very often used in the Bible to God's people, and many people have used this, many kings have used this, many prophets have used this. So truly this word gave strength and encouragement to many people while Hezekiah the king proclaimed these words. So it's a strengthening word throughout the Bible. Be strong and courageous. So next what happened? He said, do not be afraid or discouraged because of the king of Assyria and this great army. Which means, take away your fear, you people of Judah and Jerusalem. Do not look at their appearance and achievements. Stay strong, stay bold, stay powerful. God is with us. So after telling these encouraging words, he said one important thing to them. So interesting words. So, for there is great power, there is great army with us than with him. So here we see, even in the midst of all challenges, Hezekiah said these words, for there is great power and great army with us than with him. So even in tough time, Hezekiah looked above his God. So the challenge and the struggle was for all. But even in such tough time, Hezekiah looked above his God and looked God's strength and power, also his presence and his mightiness. And verse 8 it says, with him is only the army of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles. And the people gained confidence from what Hezekiah, the king of Judah, said. So, with him is only the army of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us to fight our battles. So look at these words, such a powerful statement. So King of Assyria has just an army of flesh in the sight of King of Judah. So in the sight of Hezekiah, he looked the king of Assyria as just in flesh. That's it. So he just has an army of flesh and bone and blood. That's it. But with us, there is God's army and God's military force, and God's army is there to help us. So wherever we find God's army, we can find that locusts were God's army, and the other things, the flies and the other things were God's army, and many things we can see. So spiritually, when we see, his angels are the greatest armies of God, the soldiers in God's army. So we need not do anything. So Hezekiah, his intention and his telling was, we need not do anything, but our God's army does it for us. They will do it for us on behalf of us. The fight is not ours, but it is God's armies. So God's army will fight for us. So these are the words Hezekiah said to his people to strengthen them, to motivate them, to take them to another level. So all this time we looked all these 8 verses. So now we see the condition of the people. Even though Hezekiah was bold, he told all these encouraging and strengthening words to his people. The people were still afraid and fearful. The people still had fear in their hearts. Fear still gripped their hearts. Even though they did 6 great things. What are they? The 6 great things are stopping the springs and streams, repairing the walls, building towers, building the second layer of walls, strengthened the terrace, and made weapons and shields. All these 6 things the people of Judah and Jerusalem did, but still they were terrified and frightened looking at the king of Assyria. So this is why they were terrified, due to the previous history and the hearing of what the kings of Assyria had done. Even though they did all these 6 things, fear did not move out of their hearts. So that is why after seeing this fearful situation, Hezekiah told all these people all these encouraging words and confident words. Now Hezekiah was bold enough. He was seeking his God. He was looking God's army. He was looking for the help of God to be done. But the people of Judah and Jerusalem, even though they did all these things, their hearts were terrified. Their hearts were still not as like Hezekiah. So that's the reason why these encouraging words were mandatory, were needed, very much needed at that time to those people. So when we think practically the situation of the people, we can understand why they were terrified. Because Assyria and its kingdom were not just simple kingdom. Their punishments, their cruelty were very worse. People cannot digest that. So by looking at all these worldly things, they got fear within their hearts. So, but even though they made themselves stronger with building walls and doing weapons and other things, they also failed to recognize one important thing in their lives. So, in today's time, when we compare the little cub that went to catch its prey and the people of Judah and Jerusalem, and us, we three are in the same category, the same situation. Though we have everything with us, the authority, the power, the mightiness that God had given to each and every one of us, we still fear inside of us, within us. So, what is that one thing that we miss in our lives, even though we have all the strength and mightiness and the authority that God given to each and every one of us, we still lack one thing. We still fail to recognize one thing in our lives. And what is that is, that one thing is failing to recognize who are with us or who is with us. We fail to recognize that there is God's army with us. Most of the times when we see challenges and struggles, as soon as they are above our heads, we think that that's it. We cannot overcome them. Though God has given everyone the gifts and the things and the spiritual things, spiritual powers to us, we still look at the enemy, look at the devil, and we feel broken within ourselves. And here the situation of the lion was also the same. So we see this lion cub also lacked one thing. So the continuation of that is that, so why all animal ran away by looking at this small little cub? Not because of that little cub they all ran, but because of the lion which was standing behind that. So the little cub did not realize or recognize that his dad was standing behind him all the time when he went to catch its prey. It thought that it did not look behind, it just saw front. And as soon as this little cub went further, all ran. What this little cub thought was, okay, every animal, I cannot go and hunt them. So they are just running from my sight. But the reason behind that is, it did not realize that its father was behind that little cub, and these animals which ran did not run from the hand of this little cub, but were running for their lives. So by looking at the big, huge lion, all these small animals, they just ran away. So this little cub did not have the knowledge that I can go boldly because my father is standing behind me. So as soon as he roars, all the animal will be shut in one place so that I can easily go and catch them. He did not have that knowledge. So the cub did not realize or recognize that his dad was always behind it. So without that knowledge, the fear gripped this little cub, and it did not realize that it can really go after them, the other animals, and catch its neck. Instead of catching its neck, it ran from its place and felt very bad, and the fear gripped it more and more. So today we also look, God's people, once God has given us gift and other things and authority to overcome the devil, to overcome the enemy, He's always with us, and His army is always above. They are always around us. But we fail to recognize and realize that there is God's army who's standing behind us. They are always protecting us, and they are always terrifying the enemy. But since we lack the realization of God with us, we fear the enemy, we fear the challenges, we fear the trouble, the problem, and everything. So we see a great army with us. So in this world we have all challenges, but they are of flesh and bones and blood, that's it. But we have a divine army. So that army does not fight like the other army, shedding blood and other things. It's in spiritual battle. So in our life, in our Christian life, beautiful life that God have given us, God does not promise us that you will never ever find any challenges in your life. No. That's a wrong understanding. But as like the other people, we will also have struggles, troubles and challenges in our lives. But the difference between them and us, God's people, is with them they have the army of flesh. They think in fleshly things, but with us there is greater person than with them. So there is a greater army with us than with them. So that's the important message for today. So I encourage each and every one of you to recognize, to realize that there is a God's army behind you wherever you go. And when you are in connection, in relationship with God, and when you are close to Him, His army is always ready to battle for you. So they will just put you aside, you keep quiet, and we will fight your battle. So that's God's army. So always realize that. So from the word of God we will realize that. And God also promises us, be strong and courageous. So those who are standing opposite of you, they are just flesh, army of flesh. But I am a very strong person than him. So all the other people who are with them are just small people. God is encouraging us, do not fear. You have a great God, you have a great army with you. So no matter what, always rely on God, and His army will protect and fight our battle. Let us look to the Lord in prayer.